Yeah. As is tradition, we pop the craft beer. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. This is the Baseball Brew Crew Hoppy Hour. Super casual. We're going to take it 1 minute at a time. We're going to savor this one. So no format. We're just going to hang out with some of our good friends from north of the border. And we're going to talk some pro wrestling. We're going to talk some baseball. And it's going to be a fun time. So hang out with us. Let us know what you're drinking out there. And yeah, we've had some of our favorites out there. Ian from Is Sports Card watching the Hawkeyes game. Hopefully they're winning. That'd be a good thing, right? David, thank you so much for joining us. As always, Cowboy Jack Durango in the chat. Yeah,
so the Iowa Hawkeyes. That's a lacrosse team.
It is. Okay,
cool.
You're so up on your sports. I'm getting so impressed with your vast knowledge.
I'm like a man's man, dude. Just cowboy hat. I know all the sports, the lacrosse and the curling and
curling. Yes.
I mean, I'm a man's man, brother. What can I say?
That's awesome. So, yeah, this is the Baseball Brew Crew Hoppy Hour, episode 10. We had our guests on episode 8. It seems like 5 years ago. Wow. That's amazing. I was looking back and thinking to myself, oh, they were like episode 5 or episode 2. Nope. You guys are 2 episodes ago. So we haven't done this in a while. So I'm glad to be doing it again. Thank you for being back here.
I don't know if Michael can hear me, but I can't hear Michael at all. I'll jump right back on.
All right.
I can hear you.
Alan, we can hear you, Kevin.
Yeah. I can't hear Michael. That's so weird.
It could be early onset Alzheimer's.
That's so weird. And you guys don't hear Michael, obviously. All right,
you smell burnt toast?
This is so weird.
You smell burnt toast.
This is what I get for showing up on time.
All right, dude. Don't let him back in.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to see him lighten up the chat. I'm in the waiting room.
All right.
Hey, Saturday. Look at this.
Yes.
Daniel Makabe, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Thank you so much. Now, I always want to say Makabe. So like, how do you say your last name just for reference?
I say Makabe. I've had people who are a little bit more worldly and better, more adept with Japanese say Makabe.
Makabe. Yeah.
So I mean, it is it's based off of Togi Makabe from New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's where the name came from. So yeah. I mean, Makabe. It's not Makabe, obviously. So
yeah.
But
not McCabe.
No, not McCabe. Definitely not.
I'm a product of the Arizona school system, so please forgive me.
It's all good.
Yeah, so thank you for being here. The Big Hurt, Allan Jepsen, is here and wearing that Boomtown Brewery shirt. Let's show that off. Yeah, from your trip down here to LA. Very nice. Oh, he's got the Big Hurt shirt on as well.
Yeah.
And what hats are you guys wearing tonight?
I am wearing the San Jose Giants beer batter of the game hat.
Nice. Oh my God, that churro is awesome.
Oh yeah.
I'm wearing a 2021 Atlanta Braves World Series champions hat.
Oh, there you go.
Not that I'm a huge Braves supporter now, although I did enjoy watching the Braves teams in the 90s, but I did happen to go to a game at Truist Field earlier this season when I was booked in Atlanta in Southern Tennessee. So I managed to piggyback that, and I couldn't. It's got the nice little gold detailing around the logo. So yeah, I went with that.
That's awesome. That's super cool. Yeah, you guys always have the good merchandise. So I got the Canadians. I got the Canadians up here as well. So
that was from the Big Hurt.
That was from all. I was. What great gifts! Yeah, I loved it. Love it.
Disco looks super office right now, by the way, dude. He looks like a manager for a team.
That'd be awesome. Yes, I need the eye black for the like our good friend Bobby Valentine. But Taro, Kevin Lyon is here. Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
I'm good now. It was just you I couldn't hear for some reason.
That's
I
okay.
hear everybody else.
Why hear the moderator? Why would that be?
Can we not hear him now?
Yeah. let me lower you. Yes. So thank you, Kevin, for being here tonight. I am the Disco Machine, the former Disco Machine. Actually, this is my alter ego, and this seems like a million years ago as well.
Sex appeal.
I was hoping that our Angelo Trinidad would be here. We all have wrestling ties here, so this is going to be fun. I mean, we say it all the time that, we all knew each other from wrestling, but we actually are going to continue our lifelong friendships through baseball. So that I'm very happy about. So I was hoping Angelo would be here, but he's not. But I hope he's having a great day with his family. And here is Cowboy Jack Durango. Was you not on our last Hoppy Hour with the guys, or were you?
I was not. No, I missed it I don't remember why.
Yeah.
I love one of the ballards in the background of that photo there.
Yes.
It's like, wow, it's a special surprise right there.
I can Photoshop him out if you like.
I mean, would it be too bad?
I was just like, wow, you're wrestling one of the ballards, right on.
No, I was teaming, dude. That was a 6-man, me and the ballards.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, no, lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Awesome. Ballard's good guys, definitely.
Great guys.
Yeah. So our Hoppy Hour tonight is about Allan and Daniel's adventures. They got to be a part of the Vancouver Canadians. They got to wrestle on the field. So tell us more about how this came about, and basically, I'm sure it was a lifelong dream.
Me? Yeah. Okay. Definitely a lifelong dream for both of us. I think more so him than me. He's definitely more the baseball guy than me. Not that I'm not, I grew up going to Canadians games. I remember the Canadians as a AAA team when we were kids. I think they were a AAA franchise until right around the year 2000, 2001, maybe, both for the Athletics and the Angels, I believe.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I grew up going to games at Nat Bailey. I mean, that stadium's been the same location it's always been in Vancouver for, decades at this point. And so a little behind the scenes, kind of the group that we've predominantly been working for here in Vancouver for the last year is a group called Nation Extreme Wrestling, run by a gentleman named Rob Fay. Who had previously worked for the Vancouver Canadians in both an office and a broadcasting role for, I think, 15 or 20 years in that ballpark. Pardon the pun. And so he, I think, he obviously has connections there and was able to put together a show for NEW to run at Nat Bailey. I guess it was 3 weeks ago today. And did a really good job. Obviously, just the whole promotion and everything to do with it. I think they had, upwards of 500-600 people there, mostly sat kind of in left field, kind of where the corners met. They had both in down the third baseline and in left field, and both bleachers were basically filled. And the ring was literally on the field, on the grass. We entered, down. We were specifically asked to not walk on the grass as best as possible. And yeah, it was unreal. The whole day was an unreal experience. Honestly, I'm talking too much, though. You want to?
No, please.
Ask for detail. So when I looked up this stadium,
go ahead. You go.
I just want to say real quick.
Oh, there's me. Yeah, there we are. So that's on the far side of the field. I took that picture. So we were using the visitors clubhouse, and we would actually enter out of the visitors dugout and then take the little Vancouver Canadians little motorized cart that they use to bring pitchers in from into the infield. So they use that to run us around to the far side of the field. so we didn't have to walk, a couple hundred feet across for our entrances. And then you can't really see the diamond or the ring too good. The ring is like literally right behind my head in that photo. And then the bleachers just behind it are pretty much full. And there you go. There's a picture of Al right after he got to use the cart. And to save on time, like we were only match 3 of a 10-match card, and I think they learned pretty quickly that it was going to take a lot of time to run that cart back and forth between the visitors' dugout for every single entrance. And so they basically ran a couple of us over to the home dugout, and we got a little bit less fanfare just kind of walking out of the home dugout, whereas Al got the full cart all the way across the field with his entrance music playing and
Awesome.
The whole deal. Because I mean, like I said, it was an amazing experience for me, but Rob, the guy who runs the promotion, knows baseball, obviously, knows how important it was for Al to be a part of this show. So I think really wanted to make it a special day for him. And so he got a little bit more of the special treatment for his entrance. And we got to be a part of this great show. So.
Awesome. Well, speaking of the entrance real quick, I know Kevin has things to say about the stadium. Let's actually look at Allan's intro.
Oof.
So cool. So cool.
And what a picture this is, man. Allan, I'm going to be looking for one of these 8x10 signed by you, big boy.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky in the sense that the photographer that is also working with NEW is also the photographer for the Vancouver Canadians, the BC Lions, any local sports pretty much. I think he went to Toronto and the Blue Jays a couple of weeks ago. So like he's a very, very good photographer. And so, we're pretty lucky that he likes shooting the wrestling shows and likes being ringside. So when we get, sweet shots like these, can't really complain.
Yeah. Yeah. I looked him up when you gave him a photo credit, and it's like his pictures are amazing. Yeah. They're really, really super great. Go ahead, Kevin.
I was just going to give some background. This stadium's been open since 1951. So it's about half the age of me, I would guess, like 60, 70 years old, saying.
We can't actually hear Kevin for some reason.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, for real?
Yes. We can hear the two of you, but we can't hear Kevin.
So weird.
Yeah.
Jeez, I just reboot and go ahead and talk amongst yourselves. I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, we can hear you
I've
just
got some
fine.
questions that could fill time.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Kill the time.
Yeah.
I'll be back. I don't know.
We know how to work, brother.
So working on the fly.
Couple of questions, man. Like just seeing that entrance was super, super cool. Guys, I've never worked in an open air stadium before. How was the crowd noise during the match? I mean, a lot of pro wrestling is feeding off the crowd and listening to certain things. How was the crowd noise? Were you able to hear the crowd pretty well?
Yeah, just because of where they set up the ring, we basically had like an L shape kind of around us. So we had a lot, like obviously we had no one behind us on the field or to one side. But for the most part, it was all still pretty good. Like you mentioned, Rob's worked there for 15 years, and he chose that spot specifically because of, the acoustics in the area. Because if it was over by home plate, they have these big bell speakers, and he's like, it just echoes and it doesn't sound good. Yeah. So he knows the acoustics pretty well in that building, obviously, and that he chose that for a reason. So
I was honestly shocked how clear I could hear everyone. Now, admittedly, we were pretty close, between the edge of the ring and the first row of seats. It couldn't have been more than about 10, 15 feet. And I would say 80% of the people that were there were concentrated in that one area. So yeah, it was shockingly you could pick up on people. But you're quite right. Normally, sound dissipates up into the air. It's not exactly the same thing as working in like an intimate venue like you would on most independent wrestling shows. But yeah, they were receptive. We were very lucky in that we were, like I said, we were the third match on a 10-match card that went a little over 3 hours, which for my money is a little long in the tooth as far as independent wrestling goes. But the crowd was pretty up for the entire show, all the way through the main event. They were pretty receptive. And it was, for us, now I know we got a bunch of Southern California and Arizona on the line, but for us here in Vancouver, it was a very warm day, like approaching.
There's 29 according to the YouTube.
So like mid 80s. Yeah, mid 80s, which is very hot for Vancouver.
Oh no, and you've got a black canvas
with
on
a black canvas. Thankfully, it was canvas; it wasn't vinyl. But and so yeah, we were very lucky. And there's people who are sitting in the stands for 3.5 hours with the sun beating down on them, and they were very receptive. And like I know you went out at intermission, and I talked to people a little bit at intermission. Everyone seemed to be having a really good time and really enjoyed the show. Like I know all parties involved were, both from the wrestling side and also the Canadians. I think they were really impressed by how well everything went off. And I think there's going to be a follow-up next summer. Like I think that's definitely in the cards. So.
Yeah, it looks super cool. Are those people in left field right there, or is that?
There are people, yes.
Oh, I mean that's where I would be.
They want the shade.
It was kind of it was pick your poison, right? Because it was nice and shaded, but it was quite far removed from the action.
True,
right?
true.
So.
Yeah.
Those people up there were probably the loudest the entire time. So.
Oh, is that right?
Well, they were
the most hydrated too.
So yeah, and they had like their own beer vendor right at the bottom, basically. So that probably helped.
Don't have to ask me twice.
Yeah.
So, Alan, I don't know if you can hear me now.
Yes, we can hear you.
They can't.
We cannot.
How crazy is that? I wonder why that is.
Oh, great.
I don't think you can mute specific people.
No.
So weird. No, I was going to ask, Michael going to ask,
what? We got you. We're good.
All right, that's weird. All right, so my big question is, what beers are at Nat Bailey Stadium?
That's
okay. Let's see. They do have a handful of local craft breweries. I know they do Phillips. There's Main Street Brewing. I'm trying to think. Main Street Phillips. I think there's Parallel 49. There's 3 or 4 local craft breweries that they have down just beyond like the left field bleachers. They have an area called the Craft Corner, and they have like 6 or so different craft beers. But there's a lot of Phillips, which is a brewery that's on the island. That's what they mainly sell, I would say.
And
awesome.
So what's the major brewery, like big name brewery that would be in Vancouver? I don't know. Would it just be Budweiser, or is there a Canadian brewery?
Molson, probably, right?
Molson Coors, yeah.
Molson? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Molson is headquartered back east, but there's a gigantic brewery that they built in Chilliwack, BC, which is about an hour east of Vancouver. Mm-hmm. It's literally on the side of the freeway. You can't miss it. And it went up a couple of years ago, and I think it does a lot of the brewing for the West Coast. So,
gotcha. Because I don't even know if can we even find Molson's here in California?
Yeah,
Michael,
you know what? I was looking for any Canadian beer this morning, and I couldn't find anything. So that tells you how it used to be very available here. I'm not sure why it's not anymore. Kevin, do you think it's because of popularity, or is it just people don't buy it? Or I don't even know why it would be.
I mean, I could probably find a Hams or an Olympia from Washington easier than I can find those. Apparently, I was excited to get a Labatt when I was in Detroit a couple months ago. I'm like, yeah, Labatt's. And I'm like, oh god.
I managed to get one of those the beer bats at the Bellingham Bells.
Oh yeah, right.
There you go. Well, speaking of beer, what are we drinking tonight, guys? Do you have anything? I know that Daniel, you're not a big drinker.
I do not drink. Last year when we were here, I tried some non-alcoholic beer
yes.
For the first time ever. Maybe, I don't know.
Okay.
And subsequently, I have bought a different non-alcoholic beer.
Okay.
A French-Canadian non-alcoholic beer.
Oh, all right.
It is a tropical sour.
Oh, wow. How interesting.
There we are. Anyways,
There you
and I've had a couple sips, and it's okay. I don't know. I don't really like beer. I could drink this, though. It's hot out today, so this is refreshing. So, and then additionally, for later, I do have a, this is local, actually. This is made in Surrey, British Columbia, which is just across the river from where we are right now. And this is like a craft soda company called Bear and Beaver. And they make a ginger beer, they make a root beer, I think they make a cola. And it's like all cane sugar and real ginger that they import from the West Indies or something. I don't know, but it's delicious as far as craft soda goes. So I got one of those.
That's amazing. That's super cool. Allan, what do you got?
To start, I got a very Canadian beer.
Yeah.
Dutch Canadian Golden Ale. It says, books are for tourists, beer is for geniuses.
There you go.
Oh, it's so good. So good. I remember, how did we bring this up? What was it, like a couple years ago? Did I tweet? I think I tweeted it because I saw it came out, and then you went and got them. Is it still available, or is that the one from like 2 years ago?
I bought it a couple times. It was at the local like beer store down the street from me for a while. I think we talked about it on the first time I was on.
That's probably what it was.
It was just me. And I think I went and tried to find it immediately. And there was like this one. There was like a Tragically Hip theme one, and then so there was a few music ones because we were talking about theme beers, and so I went and searched out for a few of them.
I'm pretty sure it is still available. Maybe not as readily available out here, but I think it's made by a brewer in Ontario. And the last time I had a layover in Toronto.
Henderson.
Yeah, I had a layover in Toronto earlier this year, and I saw ads for it all over the airport there. So I think it's still pretty readily available back east. So
I think you can purchase it online too. So, but I don't know if you could ship across the border.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Well, there's that. What's the name of that brewery in Toronto? The baseball brewery. I can't remember.
Oh yeah, there's
Left Field.
Left Field.
Yeah,
I'm like, man, if I go to Toronto, I'm like, there's a stop for sure. It's an amazing looking like baseball themed beers.
Kevin's gonna come back looking like the Michelin Man because he's gonna be stuffing all the beers in his whatever he's wearing. Yes, exactly.
Like, I'm the best chef in the West, don't you know?
Before we go around more, Thomas is asking how your injury is, Daniel. I know you were injured.
I am actively injured, I guess. I don't know. So I hurt my back in June on a show at the Commodore Ballroom here in Vancouver, which is a legendary concert venue. Look it up if you're not familiar with it, but it's, it was originally a jazz club that was built in the 1930s, and it's gone through many iterations, and basically any band that's ever kind of made their way through Vancouver and have been on the up and up. It's like a 900 cap nightclub. And so very lucky that we got to wrestle there. I wrestled there in June. He wrestled there in May. On a show. So, and NEW has been running shows pretty regularly there, which I mean is that's insane. That's more of a dream for me than the baseball stadium, as more the guy than a baseball.
I bet.
So unfortunately, I had an injury back in June. I have a pinched disc in my vertebrae, which is reminiscent a bit of another disc injury that I had in my back in 2009 that I ended up taking a couple years off way back when. And as soon as this one happened, it was like, oh, I remember this feeling. This is like identical to what happened back, 13 years prior. So currently doing physical therapy. I canceled all of my bookings. I actually wasn't even supposed to be on the baseball show, which is funny, because I canceled everything. I hadn't even, when they said, hey, who's available to do this baseball show, I didn't even raise my hand and say, hey, me, please put me in, coach, and it wasn't until a couple weeks before the show at the ballpark, the one kind of booking that I had stayed committed to through all of this was it's an annual tournament in Chattanooga, Tennessee called the Scenic City Invitational, which I've been a part of a couple times. I won it back in 2019. It's kind of I'd say for a certain level of independent wrestling, it's a really big 2-night 16-person tournament that, name some of the top indie and people who are on, television nowadays. They've been a part of this tournament and won it. It's
kind of the tournament right now in terms of indie. One of
to a certain level, right? Like, it doesn't necessarily have the same kind of budget or notoriety as something like a Battle of Los Angeles does, right? But for maybe just a step below that, it's kind of the independent tournament, certainly in the Southeast. So I did that because that tournament means so much to me. I won it back in 2019. It was kind of a big springboard for me doing some amazing things in independent wrestling for 6 months afterwards until the pandemic happened. So I did that, and then it was like, okay, I'm just gonna chill out for the rest of the year and let my back heal. And then honestly, it was this guy over here, when I told him my plan, he said, hey, do you want to come be in my match at Napa? Like, it was scheduled to be a 3-way already. Yeah. And he said, well, let's just make it a 4-way. Those are easier than 3-ways anyways. Right. And you can say you wrestled in a ballpark, and, we're both, we're getting older as far as independent wrestling is concerned. Both of us are starting to feel nagging injuries, and not just from, wrestling, but also playing baseball for years and just getting old. And
older.
We're probably the people on the call. He's a year younger than me, but and so we don't know how many opportunities we have to get to wrestle each other anymore, let alone in this historic venue here in Vancouver. So he basically said, hey, do you mind doing this? And it's sort of like, well, I can do a 4-way with pretty minimal landing on my back, 0 times if you go back and watch the match. and the other thing is, as someone who really prides himself on doing more of a technical style, I can have very compelling matches without taking bumps.
Yes.
Period. So, and I, through my back getting hurt, I've still managed to keep my mobility. I still have my strength. I'm still pretty fast for someone who's really not in good cosmetic shape. So, so I said, yeah, what the hell, let's do it. I reached out to the promoter, and he said, if you feel comfortable doing it, we'll add you to the match. And then there ended up being another injury on the card, and the card kind of had to be shuffled anyways. And so our 3-way became a 4-way, went back to being a 3-way with the 2 of us and one other guy here in Vancouver. So
yeah, I was going to say, in perfect wrestling form, your 4-way became a 3-way.
Right.
Yeah.
In a 10-match show. How many matches was it? 10?
10.
You said, oh my gosh. Outdoors in the heat, and you said that's actually canvas, not vinyl. Thank goodness for
it's
that.
Canvas.
Thank goodness.
Yeah,
because that's all I was thinking of. Like, you poor guys. Because I was looking, and I see that little tiny pop up covering the camera mic, but not you guys. You guys.
No. The pop up is for hard camera.
Yeah, of course.
It gets its own little tent and the bell. Oh yes, and I guess the timekeeper, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but you guys are expendable. You're workers. They don't care. Nothing I love more than a ref with a gimmick, dude. Like
we were talking about that before the show, actually. Yes, that is a local referee who just started coming around the last year or so. Yeah, named Joe King. Who is
gloves, the shirtless ref shirt, like
and honestly, that was my first time meeting him. That was my first time working with him, and seems like a nice guy and did a fine job refereeing our 3-way.
There you go. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah.
And Daniel's asking right here, what am I doing here? This is actually what he's saying as
I probably, it's funny. Like I really, I think I shine more as a heel. And it's something that I think suits my style a little bit better, but, they have taken to booking me in situations where I really have to be a baby face, and the crowd here in Vancouver has kind of taken to it. And so it's like, well, we're 3rd match on the card. We're just kind of here to have a good time. Although it did get violent, because that, that's just My matches are physical, especially when we wrestle each other.
I need to correct you on one thing. This is the third inning. All right,
that's why inning.
It's the third inning of the card. That's why I heard each match was the inning, and I'm like,
and I like how they did that. Each match was themed an inning, but for the 10th match, which is the main event, they missed the obvious extra inning.
Right.
Yes.
I think they just called it like special main or something more wrestling.
Yeah.
So lean out of the baseball team. But yes, we were the third inning. So
yes. Yeah. They should have put somebody in your match at second base for the 10th inning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Canada, for that. They're the ones who created that rule, by the way, Jack.
Oh, is that right? I always thought it was
we went to that. Michael and I years ago went to
that's right.
Winter League in Palm Springs, California. At the 7A game, it's like just an instructional league, more or less. And we're just hanging out because we're like, hey, we could see baseball in February in Palm Springs. Let's go.
Yeah.
And there's teams from Canada. They made up teams like the Manitoba North Stars they made up, the Toronto Rush. They make these teams up. And all of a sudden we're watching this game and it's tied. And all of a sudden the 8th inning, we see this guy on second base and we're like, what's happening? It's like, this is Canadian baseball rules.
No,
like,
well, as I was growing up, it was called international rules.
International rules. All right.
I've also heard it as the California baseball used to do it. It's what high school baseball used to do it.
Okay.
So it's like we had a double whammy. We're in California and we had Canadian rules.
We got all those snowbirds going to come down and watch that baseball action in Palm Springs in February. It's really nice weather that time of year, though.
Yeah, it's really nice there. Kevin, I wanted to know what beer you had as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, shocking. Where'd I go? Radiant? What a shocker, huh? I went to Radiant. I went over there to pregame, and then you know what? I have a long night ahead of me, so I need some perpetual energy, so that's what I'm going for here.
Nice.
The Hazy Pale coming at 6%. Have a couple of these because, actually, Jack, you had this on the live show. That's right.
Yes, I had 1 or 12.
Do those have like energy drink in them, or
no? It's
more like the hippy dippy energy, brother.
All right.
Because I need it. I'm live streaming for another like 5 hours tonight, so I gotta be ready.
Yeah.
Jack, do you have anything, or are you being good?
I'm being good, man. I'm back in training camp after last Tuesday. I'm still hungover from last Tuesday, so I'm on the water and the Willie Nelson, so I'm good to go. Always brothered up. I have a few questions for Allan and Daniel.
I want to know what Michael's drinking, though, please.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'll go right back to you. I mean, it's a happy hour. It's casual. I actually have one. Kevin, have you heard this? This is from the Long Beach Beer Lab. Have you heard of this? The
name rings a bell, but I have no idea where it is except it's in Long Beach.
This is the stimulus package. This is a West Coast IPA. I'm surprised that no, Ted DiBiase wouldn't use that as his small package finisher.
No. He's not looking to give anybody money.
Who would do the stimulus package? That's a really great finisher.
Yes, there you go.
By the way, I was also speaking of Canadian beers. I'm sure it's been done, but I want to see it. Why has there not been a Strange Brew?
There must be someone who's done that, right?
Has to be
somewhere.
Yeah,
again, they're not an Elsinore brewery by now. Just trying to get away with the copyright.
SCTV, obviously, that's again another back east thing. So I imagine someone in Ontario somewhere must have done it over the years.
But you know what, though? A lot of that stuff was actually shot in Edmonton. Am I right? Is that right? I remember right, Michael?
That I'm not positive on. So
I think it was.
A lot of that was shot in British Columbia.
I think it was because the original SCTV was in Edmonton, and then it went to Toronto when I think that they were doing when they had more of the NBC affiliation.
Mm-hmm. From what I recall, because I think we loaned each other a book or something. I think some of that original stuff was actually shot in Edmonton, believe it or not.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, Jack, you had questions.
I did. So first of all, for Allan, dude, I love your presentation. I love a good non-traditional wrestling gear and presentation, and you put a lot into your gear. It's very obvious. So well done there. In all the pictures I was checking out, though, it looks like you're wearing tennis shoes. Are those custom gimmick boots, or are you rocking straight? What's that?
PF Flyers.
PF Flyers
from Sandlot.
Right.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah,
there you go.
I have multiple pairs of them depending on the color, but mainly the red ones that I wore. But like in the Sandlot, he had the black ones that made Benny the Jet run faster.
There you go.
Okay.
True to the gimmick.
How do they hold up how do they hold up for your feet in the ring for matches?
They're not bad. They're not.
Okay.
They're not the worst option. I would probably prefer some more ankle support, but I feel like they're better than wrestling shoes. But that's with me. But I don't like wrestling shoes, so. And I've worn wrestling shoes for 20 years. You couldn't put me in a pair of boots if you.
Yeah, no, I was always a boot guy, but I've also always been a chubby guy, so I needed that ankle support because my ankles are like glass. So. And then the other question for both of you is how long have you guys been on the job? Wrestling.
We both have, I would say, non-traditional kind of career paths or tenures, right? We originally met each other because we were backyard wrestlers. That's how we knew each other, right? But at a certain point, both of us went off, got trained, dabbled in and out of pro wrestling, and have had, some hiatuses along the way. So I got trained in 2003. In the fall of 2003, had my first pro match in November 2003. And then, like I said, kind of in and out, still carried on with some of the backyarding in lieu, because honestly, the independent scene here in British Columbia was not happening whatsoever. We were tape traders. We were, early adopters to, getting VHS tapes and then DVDs and streaming video. And so we were watching, the East Coast independent scene, the Southern California independent scene. And we were, to be perfectly honest, like jealous of what we saw, obviously what's the word I'm looking for? The grass isn't necessarily always green on the other side, but we wanted to be having the kind of matches that we were watching, guys like the Revolution Pro guys in Southern California, or, Alex Shelley in Chris Hero and CM Punk and those guys in IW Mid-South and early Ring of Honor and that whole, independent boom. I don't think it was much of an economic boom, but it's certainly from a talent and a creative output, it was a boom. And that's what we wanted to do. And we really didn't have the community or the support to do that because British Columbia was very much, grab a headlock and learn to work kind of, scene. And it's funny now, as I approach, the age that I am now, I'm glad that I came up in that kind of community because I can work on the fly. And I've had to work some like real veteran types recently. Like back April of this year, I had a match with Charlie Haas. And you would probably be guessing correct if you assume that Charlie Haas did not want to plan the entire match like a 2022 independent match. And I had been given warning from friends of mine who had wrestled him before saying, just call it on the fly with him. It'll be such a better match. And so I pitched that to him and he was like, I like the way that sounds. Let's do that.
Cool.
But a lot of people coming up in the independents nowadays can't do that, right? So that was a long answer to the question.
All I knew about British Columbia would have been that ECCW. That's the only group I even heard of that was going on up there.
ECCW was around, and that's where Allan actually trained. I'll let him talk in a minute after I swear I'm not.
It's all right. We're live.
It's all good. So Allan trained with ECCW after the fact, but I actually broke in with a group called All Star Wrestling, which is a name that's been recycled to death. Obviously,
I know All Star Wrestling.
Yeah.
Of course, All Star Wrestling in any CI name.
Exactly. So obviously, there's people who's familiar with the Tomco All Star Wrestling, which dated back to the late 70s, early 80s. Maybe the worst territorial wrestling. Honestly, it's that in Central States, as far as I'm concerned.
I haven't seen it, but isn't that where? Oh gosh, what Mauro Ronaldo started? I heard about that. I've never seen it, but I heard it's pretty.
Yeah, Mauro Ronaldo. That's where he got started as like a heel manager when he was like 18 years old. But yeah, so not that all-star. I was one of the many incarnations of all-star wrestling that have existed. Had my debut match in the Alice McKay building in Cloverdale, British Columbia, which is where the old Tom Cool All-Star used to tape their television. So, but yeah, so I started with a group called All-Star Wrestling, which is still exists today, but it's a different kind of thing. But I'm going to let Allan talk. He did start with ECCW, which was around for like 25 years. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I think I like 2007-ish. I kind of left backyard wrestling, and basically I started wrestling under a hood for I stuck around for 3 years. Then I left for various reasons for many years. Popped back up backyard wrestling a couple times, and then I think it was 2016. Yep, 2016. These guys convinced me to come back out to 321 in Seattle, and then I've been back ever since. But yeah, so I guess active pro time I probably got around 10 years. Like,
now,
is that when you
go ahead. Is that when you adopted the Big Hurt gimmick when you came back for 321? Or were you already doing it before
came back for the first few years as Uncle Muscles, which was just like an inside joke that.
Wait, I knew Uncle Muscles.
Yeah, so I did that for a couple of years.
What's the origin of that?
I don't remember how it started, but it was from one of the shows that we saw.
I think it was like, if it wasn't a direct rip from a bit, it was very much like a parody of something from like Tim and Eric.
Yeah, it's Weird Al Yankovic's character on Tim and Eric.
There you go.
Yes,
So it was a mutual friend of ours, so I think we started calling him that as a joke. And then he was like, I can turn this into a gimmick. So
that's what I said with Disco Machine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then look what happened. Then you became an international star, exactly. Michael Mondragon.
Yeah, so I did the Uncle Muscles thing for a couple years, joined the big heel group, stuck with them, but then when everything started to disband and I kind of needed a new identity is kind of when the Big Hurt came. So I would say the Big Hurt is about 19, 18? Yeah, maybe 3-4 years old total. But I obviously wish I would have figured it out earlier, because it would have been, this 3 years has probably been the most fun I've had doing it. So
And they say in pro wrestling, obviously, like the best characters are just finding something within yourself and turning it up to 11, right? Mm-hmm. And I can say this as the person standing next to him and having seen him these last couple of years, that the Big Hurt was, I could see that it's the most fun that he ever had, and it was the most natural he ever felt in a wrestling ring, because it was just a heightened extension of who he is as a human being, right? So
yeah, that's awesome. And also, I mean, from like even like stuff like your gear, there's so many things that you can do with it, and I love everything. I mean, obviously this is the Vancouver Canadians, one of their looks. And I think this was like from the late 80s, early 90s.
Canadians.
Right?
This is the old Vancouver Canadians.
Yeah.
It's when they were like kind of sponsored by like Molson Canadian.
They were sponsored by Molson.
Wow.
That's a play on Molson's logo, Molson's color scheme. So
yeah, that would make sense. And then even like
that's the one with my favorite thing. They got a locker. I was like, that's fantastic.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And
honestly, we walked into that visitors dressing room, like I said, at Nat Bailey, and they had the whole locker room lined up match by match. Everyone was next to their opponent, kind of thing, with their own little plastic.
Hey, whoa, okay.
Okay.
Come on, there was the bad guys are in the visitor locker room, and the good guys are in the home locker room, right?
We weren't like right next to one another in this.
Good. I don't know how you two are not fighting right now, sitting next to each other, because that's why the three of us aren't together.
This is a happy hour.
If you were to go and find the match and watch it, it's on YouTube for free, and in nice quality, high definition. You will see it at the conclusion of the match, even though there's moments where Al and I are working together. There's moments where we're not working together, because it's a three-way and it's everyone for themselves. But we do have a history together as friends and as tag team partners. But at the end, even though Allan got the victory, I was quickly to come back in and congratulate him and give him a nice hug. and raise his hand for everybody. So it ends on a happy note. And as far as kayfabe's concerned, it's not at all weird that we're here sitting on the same couch.
Yes.
I was hoping for a low blow at the end of it, like the big congratulatory hug, and then just the low blow ski, dude. That's what I was hoping.
There is a reason why the three of us are separated, because we filmed together a show this week on Tuesday, and we can never do that again.
Did someone ended up going through the table at the brewery, or
no, but I might have herpes.
Not sure what that is.
That's what I was told. That's what I was told. I'm like, what?
I'll take the table over that. Thank you.
I would have too.
Well, let's see a little bit of this match that we can actually show, that because it's not on YouTube.
Why you gotta be so mean to Parma? Right? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's some good stuff there, and I love baseball spots. I think we talked about this last time about all the baseball characters that are out there. And when I wrestled a Tiger's Mask, I mean, they like there's just the crazy fun baseball spots they would do. Like we went crazy about how creative they were with all that, and it was baseball lends to wrestling, and wrestling lends to baseball so easily. It's very transferable, and it's so much fun. So I think you've done like super great things with your gimmick, especially with baseball. It's so fun to watch.
Yeah, it's he's had the big unit punch for years, and it's kind of one of those callbacks we do every single time at this point. But yeah, that's probably one of our more fun spots that we do every time we're across each other from in the ring. So
and I nailed him with the punch earlier in the match.
The picture you showed earlier was
me nailing him with the punch.
Okay, gotcha.
The big baseball wind-up punch was a Munenori Sawa spot, who he trained under Battle Arts, and then Kushida uses the baseball punch as well. And so it was a natural progression, and I named it after Randy Johnson, who it happens to be his birthday today. Happy birthday to the unit.
He's watching. He's on.
I'm sure he's logged into YouTube.
I'm sure he's watching.
Friend of the show, dude.
Yes,
friend of the show, Randy.
Yeah, we can work on that. We won't talk about him being a murderer. It's fine.
Wait, what?
What?
The bird.
Have you seen the shirt?
Yes, I've seen the shirt.
I ordered it for the both of us.
Bravo.
It's waiting at my girlfriend's house in Seattle. We're going to a Mariners game tomorrow, and I'm going to wear that shirt.
Heck yeah.
Lovely.
Bravo.
Lovely.
I gotta find that shirt now. So you guys.
I mean, it's a phenomenal shirt, but it does have a giant cuss on it. So
I know.
But
if you ever get the opportunity to work in that stadium again, and you throw that big unit punch, I think it would be beautiful if a bird got in the way.
That's funny.
Wow.
Funny enough, you mentioned that. I wish I had thought of this years ago. There's a character for the promotion that Allan referenced earlier called 3-2-1 Battle, which was based in Seattle, Washington, up until the pandemic, and we worked there from I started working there in 2014. Allan started working there in 2016, all the way up until 2020. There was a character. It was a more lighthearted promotion. Like I was the real serious stick in the mud. That was kind of my gimmick. The guy who wrestles.
After a while, you were a big baby face for many years.
Yeah. But there was a character there called the Bird, who came out to the Ramones version of Surfin' Bird.
Nice.
And his character was a giant middle finger. Like the whole singlet and a mask, and it was a middle finger with wings. And he would come out to Surfin' Bird, flipping everybody off, while the entire crowd is on their feet flipping him off.
What a gimmick.
And it was the most over baby face in that building for years,
next to a murderer referee.
Whoa.
That's the whole.
Kevin, I didn't know you were a ref.
There was a plethora of
I
weird and wacky characters for sure. But
I did use a referee for real though, Cowboy Jack. That's how I got into wrestling as a referee.
I remember for the minis. I remember.
I wrestled minis too. I didn't referee minis.
I say, wasn't your first match against a mini?
Ultimo Dragoncito.
But I never put 2 and 2 together. You know, like we'd always shout out Randy Johnson when I did that punch to Seattle. Would have been good if there was a little bit of like a friendly fire spot where the bird just happens to wander in the way of it. But never thought to do that, unfortunately.
Hey, it's not over yet, brother. It's not over yet. And you pull that spot out, and that's like 5 less bumps you have to take.
I was going to say he's still working shows in the greater Seattle area, actually. So I could maybe we'll see one day.
The other deep cut I would request if you guys ever face each other was I'd want Daniel to go for the big punch, and Allan could be like John Kruk and be like ducking and hiding out of the
way. He goes flying over the ropes. That's hilarious.
That would have been good, like a back bot, like in a battle royal or something.
Yeah,
there you go.
Right? Yeah.
Allan, so do you have a guy, because obviously you have individual, at this one specific match, you have specific gear for that match. Do you have a guy? Do you create yourself? How do you go around doing that?
So for this, the Canadian set, I just went to my local sporting goods place that I used to work. I got them to put the piping on and the numbers. The logoing across the front, I got my friend to do with his at-home, I guess, cricket thing, whatever it was. And then I had the one logo on the arm is called Squared Circle Apparel. They're kind of a brand sponsor. Yeah, they've been supporting me for years. So I usually wear their hat, but I had a different hat this time around, so I put their logo on my arm. And then the other one is the Canadians do the Throwback Thursday now, and they do wear those style jerseys.
Cool.
But they have a Blue Jays logo on the arm now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you did that right on.
I drew the logo as myself. Mm-hmm. Is that one on the arm? And then I found a company online that did like a heat transfer thing, and I ordered a couple. So, and then in terms of the hat, which I have here.
Yeah, there you go.
I found a Canadian, like a vendor in Vancouver that did like the liquid chrome style logo on the front. And I was like, I know those come off just because they're not the greatest quality. So I took a hairdryer and got the logo off, and then took my hat to a local lids and got them to embroider it.
Oh, right on.
Cool.
Which, with the minor league logo on the back, I don't think they're supposed to do. And the funny part is after my match, I was hanging out with the president of the Canadians, who loved the look, loved that I got the win, and he's like, I got an issue with we got some copyright issues going on here. And I was like, match is over. You can have the stuff if you want. Right. He loved the look, and there was a bunch of staff there that absolutely loved the look, so they were a big fan of it. But other than that, I found a place that does custom single jerseys online and I don't even know where they are. I think they're overseas, but pretty much order one for whatever occasion. I got a couple more coming in the next few months for the final run of matches. But
I love it. I'm waiting to see how you're going to brother it up. I got to spend as little much money as possible to make it look as good as possible.
And quite frankly, you're not a pro wrestler if you're not doing something slightly illegal.
Right.
Cowboy Jack, you want to chime in on this?
No, I mean, where do we start? Is this PG? Some of the lawsuits are still pending from 20 years ago. So
mine or yours?
Limitations are not
mine or yours. Yeah. It's mine. I mean, there's never.
Yeah. Kevin's paternity suits are like enough already.
But as a brother, you always got to be like smuggling something or be in possession of something, just slightly illegal.
Hey, Kevin, tell the Sabu story about smoking.
It's not that funny, but I was literally I'm in New York. I was wrestling a show in New York for one promotion, but at the same hotel was another promotion running at the Queen's Elk Lodge, like a couple blocks away. And all of a sudden we're like, the hell is that? And there's this fancy nightclub apparently inside this bar. And here comes Sabu wearing, it's called a happy coat. It's like, I have one here somewhere. I can't show you what. It's kind of like a kimono that's a shirt. He's wearing these little tiny shorts. and he just and a fanny pack, of course, and
of course
he literally just walks into this nightclub that they're telling him, no, it's fancy dress, whatever, and I'm just staying there, and we're at the vending machine looking to get some stuff, and he goes up to this local worker, and he just goes literally like going get some smokes. Like Lily stood that close to this guy, and this is the guy who had no idea, didn't know Sabu. He knew who he was, of course, but they didn't know each other. And I'm just looking at him and like, and this guy's just like petrified. And I'm like, and I worked some shows Sabu the year before. I'm like, hey, what's up, Sabu? And he looks at me like who the are you? And I'm just like, he's like, what's up? And I'm just like, okay, sorry for saying hello. Because Michael will tell you, we worked several shows with him like the year before this.
Yeah, well, I was actually talking about the epic one that he said to Super Dragon.
Oh, I don't know this story.
Oh, really? Oh,
I was talking about the one. I'm sorry, I don't even know the story.
No, he had a similar one where he went up to we were this was during if you remember Epic Pro Wrestling, we actually wrestled at this.
It's the Reseda.
No, it wasn't Reseda.
Oh,
it was the very last one that was at that Glendale Studios.
Yes, sir.
So we were wrestling at like at TV studios, and they're like, there's all these. We were all kind of camped out in these different rooms.
You were hiding that day, Michael Mondragon.
I was. That's a whole different story. That's
we might go into that story. Why not?
Okay, yeah, that's my new Jack Sabu story. Yeah.
And also, you see ears pop up. What?
Yeah. It's not. Yeah, whatever. Okay.
So what Sabu and Super Dragon have to do with each other, please?
So Sabu's walking around. He's like, "Hey, man," he's just looking for smokes wherever he could. Hey, got any smokes? Got any smokes? And he walks into where a Super Dragon, Excalibur. I'm trying to remember who else was in that. I wasn't in that room because I wrestled Tony Cozina that show, and so he walked in there and he goes, "What? You guys don't smoke?" He goes, "Can't be a wrestler if you don't smoke." Like, okay,
take care of that cardio, brother.
All right. Sorry, I didn't know that Sabu story.
Yeah. Any smokers in your locker room?
So you said that was on an Epic show?
That was on it was a Epic TV taping that was.
I don't think anything ever aired from it.
I don't think nothing aired from it.
I wrestled SpongeBob on that show.
Yeah,
I don't ever remember seeing Epic TV. I did see they released some commercial tapes, which were just whatever they're tapes that. Did they run the Reseda building? Am I crazy?
They did.
Okay, so the way this worked out was the very first show was at the El Rey Theater.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
And that was taped for local TV here. It was like KTLA, I thought, right?
No, KJLA. I think is what you're
Okay, KJLA.
KTLA is like a big cable station. Like you can get that up here. So
it's KJLA. Right. Which would have been like channel like 62 or something like that.
So then we wrestled, and then that the Messiah benefit show was at Reseda.
That's where Super Dragon wrestled Sabu, which still is so weird.
Yeah,
because someone did. Oh, I think it was Crowbar like missed his flight or missed his connection or something.
Right.
Because that was the night where Dragon almost killed me. Well, I'm sorry. I don't know how many times he almost killed me.
Yes. Yeah. So then
we did I got knocked out in the match, and Dragon beat me. Dragon psycho dragged me up.
Psycho dragon.
I was concussed. Well, Michael, you could have stopped that, by the way.
I could have. I was too busy freaking out.
I was freaking out too, going, "What's happening?" And then Dragon came to the back and like, "Oh, we need you to wrestle Sabu." And I'm like, "All right." They actually had a pretty good match. Sabu's run in Epic was actually pretty good. He wrestled Jerry Lynn, he wrestled Christopher Daniels and Super Dragon, so not bad.
Yeah, it was. Oh god, those were the days.
The halcyon days.
Remember when you were saying the grass wasn't so greener on the other side, Daniel? Now you're hearing.
Oh my god! Like I mean,
just hope that the check we got from Epic wouldn't bounce off the floor.
That's absolutely the truth. And
you guys got paid?
Oh, paid. My check didn't bounce. Thank goodness. The one time I got paid.
Yeah, wrestling and getting paid. I see. I never did wrestling for the money. So like, it really didn't matter to me.
Sure.
I can say that all these years later, but I can understand like people were doing it as a job. I totally got that. To see people getting stiffed on pay, like it felt really bad. But like, again, I put in more money to wrestling than I got out of it. But like, I really wanted to do it, and I wanted to build things, and I knew that, like, you know, I really didn't see it as like, I said I could have done a million different things with money to make more money, but wrestling wasn't one of them. So it was like one of those things where it's like, I don't know. I really didn't care how much it grew and everything, but it's like, but during that time, that's when we started getting like more notoriety and more, like we had just come off the XPW shows. So a lot of people knew us and a lot of people were like into us, but also at that time, a lot of people hated us.
Oh, for sure.
They hated us.
Oh, they hated us.
Yeah, because again, like you're talking about the third match, you know, it's like we were stealing the show or taking heat away from other people. And I remember
we weren't like the most formally trained guys either. You know, we were backyard. Some of us were backyarders too. That you know, a few of us trained locally in lucha. Not all of us got fully trained. I was trained by people who were trained. You know,
were you trained by Ron Rivera or?
Yeah, and Dragon. Yeah, when we used to sneak into a lucha school.
Yeah, it was.
I can say that 25 years later. Yeah, we snuck into a lucha school that was outside.
Yeah, it was the same way that basically the Bucks were seen in the scene as like, here are these. Well, I mean, even when the Bucks trained with us, like we were literally we were still trying to do like formal trainings, and because you know we still did like formal trainings and trainings with like the New Japan Dojo and also Lucha, and also we would go everywhere and train and stuff like that still. But then when they came into our like kind of formal training, they're like, we were just doing like shoulder tackles and then like drop downs and, you know, leapfrogs, and you just go back in the line and 3/4 rolls. And like literally, I think Matt Jackson said, can I just do it like a 450 off like something? I was like, we're like, what? Like that's literally how they were. And they'll totally admit it. They totally admit that they were like that. And it's like,
you know, they were kids. I get it. We were kids. They're like, oh,
yeah,
we gotta do everything, brother.
we were faking it till we made it.
And that's why they hated us too, because we wanted to do our stuff, and it's just like no one wanted to work with us. That's for sure.
But you guys were talking about like
ourselves.
Did you guys? I mean, that's how you got more experience, was doing the backyard stuff and wrestling more with each other because you couldn't do on formal shows. Like, did you guys get any of that kind of blowback?
Locally, yeah, we weren't too like, other than the fact that we were renting the ring from like one or either of the local promotions.
Oh wow. Okay.
Whoever was kind of in charge of the training facility at that point. But
did you get any blowback when you decided? So in the kind of the thick of us yarding, I really had no expectation to be working for any of the local independent groups. It really wasn't in my purview. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, we would rent their ring and run our own little shows, and they were happy to have some money from us, and we were happy to be left alone to do our own things. Mm-hmm. And but in the midst of that is when some of our guys decided, I want to kind of see what this whole local pro wrestling scene is all about. Mm-hmm. And so Al was one of the people who left kind of in the midst of our backyarding to go work for ECCW, who we were renting a ring from. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, did you get any blowback initially when you went to train?
Not initially, but like whenever I'd go hang out for you know, when you guys would run shows,
you just come and say hi to your friends.
And because like I would just want to hang out with friends, I would like ref and things like that. And that's where I kind of started to get a little bit of blowback. But, you know, funny enough, going from backyarding and like when I started training, there was a shift in ownership. So I think I only paid $300 for training, which at this point, I don't care to admit it anymore. But I squeaked through and didn't have to pay pretty much anything for training.
Worker rate, brother.
Exactly. And managed to get on shows pretty quickly amongst the new trainees at that time. I think 4 months in, I was on shows. But as soon as the ownership kind of changed, I started to get on more shows, because I don't know if they thought I was more trained than I was, but it seemed to work out for me when there was an ownership change about 4 or 5 months into me training. So,
and it's funny, by the time that I started to start doing indies again and work more regularly and started getting my name out there, I was working more regularly in Seattle, where I definitely didn't get any kind of stigma because a lot of the people down there really weren't all that well trained. It was a struggle initially for me to get booked up here in Vancouver, even when I was having matches that were being talked about by people worldwide, against Tim Thatcher and Nico Navarro and, whoever. And it was still like kind of falling on deaf ears here in Vancouver. And I kind of just went, okay, well, I'm going to go be a star elsewhere. That's fine.
Yeah.
And then now it's sort of like everyone, the new crop of people who come up in Vancouver kind of recognize like, oh, this guy's really good, and we can use him and learn from him. And now, nobody really cares. And now it's just funny stories, like, oh, tell us about the dumb things you did for no money when you were 20 years old.
Yeah. Wrestling is definitely an endurance test. Was it like that in Arizona, Jack?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah. I mean, I didn't have the most formal training either, man. And, I got invited up, I met Mike Knox and Gallo and at a show that some shady promoter was running in my town. And I hooked up with those guys and they brought me up here to Phoenix and, introduced me to the Navajo Warrior who like took me under his wing and, got me kind of polished up a little bit more, but
it's like polishing a turd, right, Cowboy Jack?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. One of my dear friends. Wow. But we were like really old school. Like you don't make contact. Like we do a lot of tours with the honky tonk man, and let's just say that it's not a lot of strong style happening with the honky tonk man.
He took as many bumps as Daniel in that Vancouver match.
I was going to say, I've got pretty distinct memories of seeing, because they would book the honky tonk man up here lots of times. Multiple promotions would book him up here. And I don't know if I didn't think this was possible, but on multiple occasions, I saw him in the twilight of his career doing his finisher, the shake, rattle, and roll without ever leaving his feet.
No.
Yeah.
So, like he does the little hip swivel, and then here you go. You take the bump, sir.
So
being on many reservation tours with honky, that's a thing.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
I wrestled. I didn't wrestle on this show, but it was one that was up north. It was kind of one of my first wrestling tours, and I had to pick up Buddy Rose from the airport and bring him back. And Buddy was like, he was awesome. And that was his big thing. He goes, I love to, in my matches, like go 20 minutes without even locking up. Like and then he talks about this bump that he used to do. He used to get like hit, and then he'd kind of like roll out kind of head first, but on his back. And then he'd hook his feet on the bottom rope and then kind of teeter there. And then he would like drop to the floor on his back. And he said he never got hurt doing it. And it was like a really great bump. And I was like, and he did it that night too. And I was like, oh my God, like they all have the, it's that wrestling kind of gene that, like, I don't know. I wanted to be a different type of wrestler. I would have loved, I should have been smarter and been like that, like the Carney-ish wrestler. But I wanted to be Dragon Gate, Michinoku Pro, and New Japan Juniors. That's who I wanted to be.
Sorry, Michael. We showed you all those tapes.
Well, that's it. And then I met these guys, and they wanted to have all those matches too. And then they mixed in lucha to all this, and it's like, oh my God, like we can.
Yeah, because when we grew up in LA, Orange County, you have lucha, which is on every weekend, like 2-3 hours of lucha at least every weekend. Yeah. We found out that there's multiple Japanese supermarkets you can rent, New Japan TV, All Japan TV. Some of these video stores even had some commercial tapes. Yeah. And then we had 2 friends in our circle who record all like any wrestling show in LA, WWF, WCW, lucha, trade them to trade dealer, not the one in Philadelphia, the one in Pittsburgh. And we would just get anything we'd want, and just next thing you know, we have a treasure trove of stuff to go through and just, oh my God. And next thing you know, we're just like, we want to do all this stuff we're seeing and everyone's looking at us like we're, like we're crazy.
Yeah. Well, in the night, it was online learning basically in the 90s. It was like tape trading. It was like, Totally. Like we just wanted to be
we're even before online. This is like Wrestling
That's
Observer
what I mean.
pages.
It's like
this is like the Wrestling Observer readers page.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, trading tapes and just hoping you get your tape back, you know, that you're asking for.
No, Daniel, you mentioned seeing Revolution Pro way up there in Canada. Like that, dude, I was a punch kick brawl guy. Like punch kick, work the crowd.
Yeah.
And then I met Top Gun Talwar and subsequently met Kevin and Michael. But that, dude, watching those guys, and then they formed PWG and what they were doing, like I was sitting back like, man, maybe I should work a little bit harder. You know,
well,
it can't all be the big knuckle punch, brother. Like sometimes you gotta put in some work.
But you didn't have the people that were having those types of matches.
Right.
That's what it took. It's like when we started, like when we were all wrestling each other and we were all kind of like-minded, but then we see other people like Los Luchas or, you know, Alex Kozlov or
well, we brought in
people
pretty early on. We brought in like B-Boy, Ricky Reyes, Rocky Romero, because we were just trying to find anybody who we think could maybe work with us. Yeah. You know, I actually went to UPW, like a small UPW show. That's Ultimate Pro Wrestling, where like Cena came from and all that. Yeah. So I went to one of their small shows, just thinking like, hey, I wonder if I can reach out and say, hey, you know, and then the guy I ran into was like, oh yeah, maybe maybe you guys can use, and they start naming their students, like they're big, gigantic. So a student named Smelly, and I think Smelly might be one of the Bell brothers who was in.
He is one of the Bell brothers, yes.
Who was in what's that name of that movie?
Bigger, Stronger, Faster.
Thank you, Bigger, Stronger, Faster. Yeah. Like guys like that, and these gigantic, like muscled guys. I'm like, yeah, it's not what I'm looking about their juniors, and because it wasn't their students, it's more or less guys who were working there. More or less, I got Samoa Joe once when he was breaking in. Like, hey, we'll take that.
Right, right, and even like Funky Billy Kim. We wrestled him in PWG, but that's how we got to know all those guys, and Spanky, you know, being in the first. I wrestled him in the first Revolution J. That was very
interesting.
No.
Do you have it on your soundboard?
He was awesome. Yeah. Well, it was. This is when like wrestling started getting drama. It became drama because wrestling became political. That's the part that I hated about wrestling, and you know, when we started working with other groups. Our big thing was like we were having our first big tournament in 2001. It was literally September 2001. So we didn't know if the Japanese people that were going to be coming over here were going to be able to come. We actually had a lot of big Japanese contingent coming over.
We had 4 girls. Was it 4 girls from Stardom? Or from Arjun, sorry.
Arjun and Nozawa and there was another guy from was he from FMW? He wrestled Little Cholo on that show.
I can't remember his name right now. Oh my gosh.
Anyway,
I have the shirt. I can probably find the shirt fast so I can look it up online.
Yeah, so I thought it was going to be like a tournament within our guys, so we're just going to have like this tournament, and it's like we brought in other guys, and then those other guys started coming in, and it was like the political thing of like how is this tournament going to work out, and so yeah, that's the part I started hating about it. It's like people, there's a lot of egos involved, you know. It's like, and at that time, you're just like, that was kind of like at the beginning. No, that's something I was going to ask. So in Canada, was there like an independent wrestling scene for like fans to follow? And how did the fans kind of know about your shows and everything?
We had the internet and like high speed, you know, there were message boards and that sort of thing, but like
you got it, 2018.
It really feels like you know, it wasn't until the last like 5, maybe 10 years that internet fandom and local wrestling kind of coalesced. Like it feels like, honestly, like the old school way of just postering and that sort of thing is really how a lot of fandom came from. And just people would be at a show and be sure you're here next month. And okay, I'll be here next month. But a lot of the times, you know, they wouldn't bring in fly-ins up to British Columbia. Occasionally we would bring in guys from more so Northern California than Southern California.
Okay, yeah.
Asian Cougar was the big one.
Yeah, the one guy, I don't know how they got this guy's connection, but there was a Japanese independent worker named Asian Cougar.
Yeah.
Who,
I remember him.
He go back. He's so ahead of his time. He's an unreal, just high spot machine. Like he has some of the craziest dives that if he did it now in 2022, people would be going, "This is crazy." But he was doing it in like 1999. And
the big one.
Well, I mean, his big high spot that like I saw him do it on shows in like suburbs of Vancouver in front of 100 people, where he would slam the guy on the floor, he'd bury them in folding chairs, and then climb back in the ring and do a slingshot like konhio to the floor, just so the guy laid out flat on
like
the
floor. Old Super Astro Dive. That's when I see
the Astro Dive, exactly.
Did he run and do it, or he just stop and
no? He would come back in, sling immediately.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, Fantastic did that dive as well. The Super Astro Dive you're talking about, But yeah, anyway, so they bring in Asian Cougar once a year, but occasionally we get some Northern California guys. And honestly, like the first time, we would know who these people are because we were, diehard, internet people. But it was sort of like, okay, who is this guy? You got to win me over. It's that kind of like they didn't know who anyone was, and eventually it got to the point where like people like an Asian Cougar would be over because like, oh, I remember him from the last time he was here, but like internet fandom really, it was very niche back then for sure.
Oh yeah.
And I looked up who was in that Revolution J, by the way.
I got it.
It was a gentleman named Tomokazu Morita.
Yeah. And he still wrestles.
He's still
wrestling in Korea.
And he wrestles under the name Garuda, which I remember that name.
Garuda,
I didn't know that name, but I looked up matches. He literally still wrestles, and he wrestles in Korea on occasion. I've watched matches on Cage Match. I'm like, what? Korea wrestling.
Also, was there 20 matches on this show? Like this was one day.
I mean, wow. I know my match went like 3 minutes. No, it wasn't quite that many. It was
3 minutes. What? Jeez, man,
I lost Excalibur in 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's
16.
Oh
16. It probably felt like 20 matches though.
And mind you, Dragon beat B-Boy, and I actually had to referee that match. They went 27-20. I'm seeing here.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, we brought in. I'm sorry, it was Michiko Omagai and Gami, and they got 5.5 minutes.
Yeah,
I was like, okay.
Yeah, right. we actually have footage that we can show you guys from that. We still have it all because it was on Samurai. They did stuff for Samurai TV. They were taping for that.
I don't need me see me jogging in 3.5 minutes of Excalibur. Thank you very much.
There you go. Yeah,
I'm sorry, AEW announcer Excalibur.
Yeah, it was a crazy time and. I mean, I said again, it was fun, and it was definitely one of those things that I look back at fondly. But at the time, it was like, I just remember it being super political. That's like when everybody's egos, when we started getting bigger, that's when the egos started coming out, started being a thing. And even for myself, I was like, my biggest thing was like, oh, I mean, this is our tournament. We should be, a big part of it. And, after that, I kind of saw the big picture, but we had message boards, and we had people like going on message boards as different under assumed personas and stuff like that. Like, this is
not me. No.
I guess this is getting weird and stuff like that. So
I definitely know a couple guys on the group.
Yeah. So
kicking that ball over to you guys. How like the politics scene? I mean. The worst thing about pro wrestling is that politics always kind of creeps in because people are living their own gimmick, they're believing their own hype, and they're not really thinking about like as a whole. We all need to do good. Rising tide, all ships go up, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Daniel, just listening to the way you've talked, you seem like a pretty like a rebellious guy, like a DIY kind of a. Not in a bad way, brother. Like a very DIY. Like you made a statement earlier, like I'll just go be a star somewhere else. And dude, I love that attitude. And have you guys encountered a lot of politics, and how did you navigate it?
I mean, locally it was like you were in the crew or you weren't. Okay. And if you were on the outside of it, you really wouldn't get a fair shake. That's how it was when I like first started working shows. And luckily I got sort of into the crew, so I would get the opportunities to work pretty much all the shows or have some sort of role on each show. But and that pretty much stuck until, until I went away and then came back, and it was basically the same sort of thing with the inner circle. So yeah, there was still the politics up here as there was everywhere else.
Yeah, I figured as much.
It definitely exists. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. I had a friend tweet recently about what's the line? I gotta look it up. It made me laugh so hard. And it's someone who's working, pretty prevalent indies, talking about kind of what he came from. And it doesn't matter what level you're on. It could be backstage at AEW's pay-per-view. It could be on a show where you're making $20. This kind of bullshit is going to exist everywhere, right?
Yep.
What's the line? It was so funny. Oh yeah, he just said some $20 shindy drama was the quote, right? And
there you go.
And it exists everywhere, right? And the only real I experienced in Seattle that there was multiple promotions that would kind of be running head to head. And I was very much at the forefront of one of them and was hoping to be able to branch out and work for the other one as well, because I thought that my skill level was at the point that I could be on their shows, and they were bringing in a lot more names. They had a higher budget. They were someone that I felt like I would fit well. And they really had no interest in using me because of how prevalently I was featured for the other promotion. And that's fine. It happens, right? You have to have your own best interests in mind, but it's unfortunate that that's what this kind of all comes to, right? It's a lot of playing favorites, and that's okay. It's not always about who's the best, right? And the other way I've experienced that is because we're so far removed from the rest of North America. I reached out to lots of groups who sort of said, we'd love to use you on your shows, but I can't afford to fly you in from the West Coast, right? And so I've experienced that a lot more in the last couple of years, I guess.
I mean, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla was dealing with that 20 years ago when they had a couple guys they want to bring from Montreal, and they would drive to Buffalo.
They would from there. I don't know if maybe Buffalo, maybe more. They're probably closer to Boston, honestly.
I don't remember what they would drive across the board, then fly into LA. And that was more affordable than dealing with going across the board.
Yeah. Well, we didn't bring in Josh Prohibition and M-Dog, basically.
Right.
They were from Cleveland.
Cleveland was so
Cleveland
expensive.
was twice whatever it was twice the amount.
And you can't get direct flights out to Cleveland, from my experience. There's going to be a layover somewhere, and you're not getting cheap flights in and out of Cleveland.
Yeah. So. I used to pick up people.
You think LA? Well,
that's something
you would think.
I would pick up Excalibur at the LAX. He's supposed to come in at 11. He would get in at 2:30, 3 in the morning. Always.
And he was living in Detroit, which I'm like, that's a pretty major airport. But
we're very lucky that we're relatively close in proximity to Seattle.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's kind of how I broke out, was just sort of, well, fly me in from Seattle, and that's so much cheaper than flying out of Vancouver. So. And we have so many connections in Seattle, and both of our partners are from Seattle too now. And I mean, that's more of a more recent development, right? His wife and my girlfriend are both from Seattle. So, we got a place to stash the car or spend the night if be, right? So
keep the gear so we're not crossing.
Leave our gear across the border. That too, yeah.
That's it. Well, I wanted to end with something that actually, Kevin, I don't know if you saw this or not. Allan actually came up with a really awesome game that we may have to incorporate into our podcast. I think it's an awesome idea. So maybe we can test it out right now. So Allan, maybe you can explain a little bit more about what it exactly is.
Basically, it's a rapid fire game, which I kind of threw the name Beer Batter to. Basically, you have a topic, and you have to continue on that topic. If you stumble a bit, you drink.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
It's like a hot potato kind of game. All right.
correct.
We're going to need like a timer for this. All right.
You don't need a timer. I think you just if someone stumbled, you
If someone was like done.
Okay. So start out with a topic, and I'll take it, and we'll go to Kevin, and we'll go to Cowboy Jack. See if we can do one round of this.
All right.
So go for it.
Sure. I'm gonna fail.
Hey, you pick the topic. You got the easy job. Maybe
Okay.
something baseball, right?
So go ahead. So pick the topic.
Oh, who's picking? I thought you were picking the topic.
No. I'm gonna continue it. So Allan, or
You
Daniel, pick the topic.
What do you guys picking?
Let's go Atlanta Braves.
All right.
Atlanta Braves.
Jack quickly went black. He's like, nope.
He's out. I'll go with former Brave, the crime dog, Fred McGriff.
Good one.
I got to go with Dale Murphy.
Dale Murphy.
We're going to
Okay.
make that. I'm
And
gonna go with Ryan Klesko.
Oh, good.
Wow.
My neck of the woods. Very good.
Okay.
One second. Hold on.
Uh-oh. 1 second. We got one. Uh-oh. Is that him tapping out, or is he going?
No, because he saw that.
There you go.
nice.
Of course.
It's an autographed Ryan Klesko ball from the '95 World Series. So
Nicely done. Nicely done.
Top Gun Tower will pay a pretty penny for that if you want.
The
Hank Aaron.
team of the 90s finally has
I'm
their world
kidding.
championship,
I'm
as
kidding.
Bob Costas said. Okay, there you go. Okay, so this is a question I had. So do you have to have something that's kind of related to, or is it just Braves related?
I think anything Braves related. It is. So, like, you could use the stadium. You could use.
Okay, there you go. All right, so I'm going to go with former second baseman in the early 80s, Glenn Hubbard.
Yes. So, Michael, can I say Olivia Newton-John?
Yes, you can. Definitely, if you watch our podcast, Olivia Newton-John was in the Braves locker room in 1982, was it?
And we showed the photos.
Yeah, and they're really good.
Of
Yeah.
a shirtless player. I don't remember who the shirtless player was. Putting his arm around Olivia
Steve
Newton-John.
Bedrosian.
Oh, that was Steve Bedrosian. There you go. Very
There
good.
you go. All right, Cowboy Jack. Did you hear any of this?
I'm sorry, I did not. I cut out.
Okay,
a little bit,
let's
but-
start over. Pick another.
How convenient.
Alan.
David Justice.
Okay, David Justice. I will go with Otis Nixon, former
Nice.
outfielder.
There you go. I'm going to go with Ted Turner.
Ted Turner. This is all Atlanta Braves.
Yes.
You could even go Top Gun Tall War at this point.
Oh, yeah.
So we're just going whatever's connected.
Whatever you know about the Atlanta Braves, go for
Yes,
it.
sir.
Oh, Hank Aaron.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
he wasn't here. It's fine. But Greg Maddux.
Greg
All right.
Maddux, nicely done. All right. I will go with former mascot Chief Nakahoma.
Yes.
That is actually a thing for the Atlanta
Yes.
Braves.
Absolutely. I was trying to remember. Oh, how about Biff Pocoroba?
Nice. From a
Who gave him a
catcher.
random name? I can
Catcher
remember
from the 70s.
I couldn't remember who had the station name on the back of the jersey. But
Oh,
you'll
that's
have to-
right.
You have to get that next round.
Is it me now?
Go for Atlanta Braves, Jack.
Chipper Jones.
There you
There
go.
you go.
know
Larry
somebody.
Chipper Jones.
What's the current? Is it current mascot Blooper? Is that it?
It
You're right.
is.
Thank you. I couldn't
It's-
remember it.
Yes,
Oh, wait.
it is Blooper
Yeah.
because I was thinking Orbit, which is the Houston Astros mascot. Blooper. Okay. Well, because I went with Chief Nakahoma, he actually had a sidekick, which was Princess Winalada.
Wow.
That's actually a thing. You can look it up.
I love it. That's good.
You know, when I would watch games on TBS, they were America's team.
America's team. Nice. Yes.
I'm gonna go with Cowboy Bill Watts. No, he got fired from WCW because of what he did to Hank Aaron.
Well, he didn't do anything to Hank Aaron.
Hank Aaron found out what he said.
Right.
So,
But I would say that's a pretty big connection to the Atlanta Braves.
Madden backed Hank Aaron what had been said in the tour, and that's all that
yes.
Disco,
Yes.
I know it's a stretch, brother, but I feel like that's a good 60.
I was gonna. If you hadn't said it, I would have said it. So it's all good.
That's hilarious.
I'm just gonna keep going with that unreal rotation they had in the '90s. I'm gonna go with John Smoltz. So
John Smoltz. I'll go with former left fielder Lonnie Smith.
Who missed second base in the 1991 World Series?
Against the Twins.
Does that count?
Yes.
How about Halloween Havoc 91, where I remember they had a tombstone saying "R.I.P. Minnesota Twins."
Oh, wow. That's a deep cut.
I mean, I'm all about my deep cuts. That's why I'm pulling the microphone up to my. But I do remember watching that pay-per-view, and it was at the same day as Game 7 of the 91 World Series, and they actually did do that. They had a tombstone
wow. How funny.
that said "R.I.P. Minnesota Twins."
Jack.
I'm drinking. Alan and Daniel, just to kind of clue you guys in, I know nothing about baseball. I'm just here for the good looks. You know what I mean, brother? So, the fact that I got Chipper Jones, I'm pretty impressed with myself. So I'm drinking up.
Your well is done.
You got
all
two
right,
guys.
So let's go one more round. So go, you guys go.
We're still going Braves?
Yeah.
Tom Glavine.
I'm just gonna say Truist Park, who has awful vegetarian options. If you ever go visit there, it's a nice ball.
Oh wow!
Terrible vegetarian options.
Boo, Truist Park.
So I'll go. Is it? It's not County Stadium. County Stadium's in Milwaukee, right?
It was Fulton County Stadium.
Fulton
County Stadium was their not their last stadium, but the stadium.
Right. It was Turner Field in between.
Right. Exactly.
And Turner Field is still there. It's just on the side of. It's like in downtown Atlanta on the side of the interstate, just completely unused.
Yeah, and it was built for the Olympics, right? Or was that the new Braves?
No, I think they just built it for. I think they just built it for the Braves. Maybe it was built around the same time as the Olympics, so '96. Yeah. So
and they built
like multi-purpose.
They're building like a big like some kind of Centennial Olympic Park too, in like downtown Atlanta, over by where CNN is.
They're still their torch is still there. It's right by CNN and everything. But the Truist Park is now. It's in. It's not even in it's in Cobb County now. It's outside of downtown Atlanta. It's way out in the suburbs. It is a beautiful ballpark, but it doesn't have very nice.
Up by Marietta. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's up in Marietta.
Jack, I got a question. Have you ever been to Cobb County, Georgia?
No, but I heard it's a rough spot, dude.
Right.
What's the line? If you ever take a trip down to Cobb County, Georgia, you better.
Oh no! Come on! I know I was hoping Cowboy Jack, but I was like trying to hand it off to him.
You're doing hard times.
I know that much. I mean, Jack's had some hard times. I know that.
You better something respect the law and order. Or it's something along those lines.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, so Kevin, what's yours?
Oh, I'm up. Let's go Rafael Ramirez, shortstop.
Nice.
Let's go for shortstop there because I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head. Okay. You know, we have not named one current player. I think the next round we may have to name one current player on the Braves if we do one more round.
Okay, let's do that. But Jackie, you have one.
I do have one. Thanks to 1994's hit baseball documentary, Ricky Wild Thing Vaughn. Oh.
he was an Indian, not a Brave. Please.
I hate that.
I had so much fun pressing that buzzer on Jack.
All right, so let's name a recently Atlanta Brave. I have my favorite one.
Okay.
You started in mine.
I know. Can you name a current Brave?
I can name one Brave currently.
So go with the beer theme. Let's go Marcel Ozuna.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. There you go. And I don't think he's definitely not a Brave anymore, but Tuki Toussaint.
Oh, there you go. That's a
great name.
I mean, does that count? Because Marcel Ozuna, I believe, is not on the team currently.
No, he is.
Didn't he just get a DUI?
No, that was a long time ago. He's back. He doesn't. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
He's above the law. I think he did. Yeah,
you know what? He is above the law. If you follow what he's been up to.
Stupid highlighter elbow things.
Yeah, he's.
Are we going to see him in Seattle tomorrow? I hope not.
We're actually going to see the Mariners play the Braves tomorrow.
That's right.
In Seattle.
Oh, right on.
I forgot the Braves are in town.
I will not be wearing this hat tomorrow.
Yep.
Acuna for the.
There you go, Acuna. Yes, we saw him in the Arizona Fall League. Kevin and I. We saw him in front of nobody, just jacking balls out of the park. He was amazing.
Well, how about I go with the hot new sensation for the Braves, Steven Strider.
There you go. Spencer Strider.
Oh, Spencer Strider. See, get the buzzer. I missed it.
Hey, you broke my machine.
Oh, no.
Dude, I have a current player.
What?
Oh, you do actually.
I
Yes.
do.
Go for it.
Thanks to our fantasy football league.
We don't play fantasy football, by the way.
Fantasy baseball. Whatever. CTE, guys. CTE. Fantasy baseball league. Dansby Swanson.
There you go. Which I saw. How about this? Let's bring it all around.
Yeah.
Let's bring it all around. I saw him play for the Hillsboro Hops when he was an Arizona Diamondback prospect. Dansby Swanson. I saw him in 2015.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'll be here all week.
Yes, I literally will be here at this desk all week.
Yeah, you don't leave.
I rarely leave. So guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. This is a cool picture.
Awesome.
We really love talking about this, and thank you for joining us and talking about beer and baseball. We'll definitely cultivate that game. That is an awesome game because it just gets us talking about old nostalgia, but also that's something we don't bring into our show enough is talking about current stuff, and then we talk about old wrestling and but you guys have wrestled recently, which is kind of foreign to Kevin and I, and even Jack. What's the last time you wrestled, Jack?
2-3 years ago, right before the pandemic. I did a benefit show. That's where that picture was with the Ballard brothers.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right. So yeah, this is awesome.
Never again.
We totally enjoyed talking about this. Join us for our podcast. We'll be September 13th. Yes, this is a real picture of Babe Ruth.
Wow.
I've never seen this picture, so I decided to use it.
I was probably there and I didn't see that. I don't remember seeing that.
No. I don't even know the backstory of this. Maybe we'll have to play it or figure it out.
Hashtag do the research.
Exactly. And if you like what we're doing here at the Baseball Brew Crew, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/beer baseball. This is where you can find us online with all of our social media. Guys, anything before we sign off for this awesome Hoppy Hour?
I really have nothing to plug at this point, so.
Al, no upcoming matches, nothing to plug.
Al's got nothing to plug. If you want to follow me on social media, it's at Daniel Makabe. That's where to find me on Twitter and Instagram. No more matches for the rest of 2022. You can find lots of my matches on YouTube. You can find them on IWTV, which I'm a big supporter of, independent wrestling television. For my money, it's the best source for all independent wrestling going today. If something like that existed when I was finding out about you guys, I would not have graduated high school. Schoolwork would have been out the window, So, follow me on social media. When I have another match sometime in 2023, at a minimum, I'm going to have a match in Seattle and a match in Vancouver. I did have a promoter reach out to me about wrestling in Southern California later this year that I had to say, maybe not this year, but hopefully in the new year. And so I'm hoping I can come down there. Thanks for having us on. This is a blast for someone who doesn't drink beer, and really my knowledge of Major League Baseball kind of ends in 1997. This is always so cool to get to hang out and just talk shop with you guys. So
I go one quick thing. Next year the All-Star game is in Seattle, and I expect to see all of you there, and we can do a live show there.
That would be tremendous.
So we should look forward to that.
Okay, brother.
That would be tremendous.
Even if we don't go to the games, we can still probably hang out.
There's so much to do up there.
Exactly.
Besides that, absolutely. I only want to. I didn't get to go to the Futures game, and it was literally 12 miles from here, so that was kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
But I love the Futures game. So if I just make that and I'm good, I know that you definitely want to go to the All-Star. Everybody wants to go to the All-Star game. Yeah, there's so much to do around there. I
you kidding me? I want to see the celebrity softball game.
The Rock and Jock celebrity softball game.
Oh, is it the MTV Rock and Jock? Is there like a 20-point?
There's so much. There's so much cheating involved. I can't watch it. It's not a pure version of the game.
You're telling me it's a work? Come on. It takes a worker to know a worker. Is that what you're telling me?
Your point shaving involved, or
there's tons of point shaving. That's for
Are they hitting the ball the size of that ball Babe Ruth was swinging at? I mean, who knows?
Is it inflated with air?
What's that?
Is it inflated with air?
Yes.
Oh God, it's.
I wouldn't want to hit a ball that Jenny Finch was pitching. I mean,
that's for sure.
I was watching her, and I'm like, oh God, no.
That's for sure. There's a great video if you ever look it up, like who throws faster and harder, a Major League Baseball pitcher or Jenny Finch, and Jenny Finch keeps up with it because of the distance and the velocity and the torque that she has. It's a very interesting video. You should look it up.
Did you ever see the video of Jenny Finch versus like Pujols and Bonds and stuff like that?
Yes.
They can't come anywhere near her.
Yeah. They look
Michael,
silly.
What's the name of the pitcher from the 60s that we were watching, the softball pitcher? What's his name? The king of the
the king in his court. Forget what his name is. But yeah,
he struck out like Hank Aaron. It was like Willie Mays and Hank Aaron. They were doing softball and against their team, and this guy his softball is so quick. Like these guys could not hit him. These Hall of Famers.
He used to pitch.
It's on YouTube, dude. Believe it or not.
He pitched underhand between his legs from second base and would strike people out. Like legitimately, insane. It was like it sounds insane. Like ridiculous, but it's the truth.
It's on YouTube. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's crazy. Kevin, any last words?
Oh no, am I dying? Oh, wait a minute. What am I saying? I got something else to plug. If you're watching this live, I'm going to be on Twitch in about an hour and 20 minutes, 7 p.m. Pacific. I'm going to be on this Twitch on, oh my goodness, Jarvis Washing Machine is the channel. It's just a live wrestling show because the Queen passed away. It looks like we're about a bunch of World of Sport wrestling. So that'll be fun because that's always a great style to watch. Or just hang out, shoot the breeze, and just watch some stuff. Jack, tomorrow, 7:30. Have you done the research yet on the gentleman we're going to talk about? All right. That's fine. We're going to be talking about a player from the 50s. Interesting story. His name is Jimmy Pearsall. There's actually a film made about his story that came out in the 50s or maybe the 60s called Fear Strikes Out. There's your tease.
Very cool. Very cool. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We super appreciate it. Another Hoppy Hour in the books. Episode 10. Thanks again. And I don't know when this will be back, but hopefully we can bring it back and bring these guys back and talk some more wrestling and baseball. So thank you so much. Have a good Saturday night, everyone. Take care. Check us out on Tuesday. Good night.
Night.